peace and love, peace and love to the Universal Supreme. I am your host, Queen B. This is Numbers Matter. We are on Podcase Unit 20. Can you believe we're at number 20? Of course, I am your host, Queen B, also known as Malinda Valentine, and I am so excited to have you here today live with us. We have a very special guest coming live today. But before we bring him on the stage, we just have to get some housekeeping done. So give me 1 second. I'm going to make sure we get everything out here today that we're supposed to get out to you. And if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the exciting and informative content that we have come up for you the rest of this season. And if you are a regular, welcome back to Numbers Matter. Universal Supreme, thank you so much for being here. So first, I want to make sure we get this out. Make sure you guys are tuned in every other Saturday with the Unread Book Review with Nick and Rue. That takes place at 2:30 p.m. They will be live this Saturday at 2:30. You can subscribe at YouTube at Mr. Westbrook's class. You can also subscribe at Ma Wu Lisa 4610 on YouTube and on Instagram. So make sure you're subscribed to them to the Unread Book Review that's coming this Saturday. Also, you want to make sure you're getting subscribed to the Shasu Experience. She's on all social media platforms. Please subscribe to her YouTube for sound healing architect therapy. She deals with chakras, healing sounds, colors, music, the whole gamut. So make sure you are tuned in with the Queen Kanaya. Next, make sure you want to, we're having B Calls for Kids. Of course, this is our charity that we do every year. We do a book bag drive for the kids. So this year is no different. We are teaming up with the Royal Space Academy this year to do the book bag drive. So we know B Call stands for being engaged early, creates an active, unified, safe environment for kids. So we need book bags and we need school supplies. So you can either donate by way of Cash App at BTV79, or you can donate by providing book bags, but you'd have to get them to me before August 15th. Okay, so if you're buying the book bags, you got to get them to me before August 15th. I'm willing to meet you halfway, depending on where you are, of course. So just let us know. Okay, now that we got some of that housekeeping out of the way, we are going to get ready to bring our distinguished guest on. But before I do that, let me pull this up. Give me 1 second to get all of these things going here. And I just want to say to you, thank you so much for being here today. We really have the pleasure of having Lloyd Strayhorn, a distinguished Astro-Numerologist. He is the leading authority in the field, hailing from Harlem, New York. Lloyd's fascination with astrology and numerology ignited a fire in him, which led him on this remarkable journey to uncover the mysteries of the universe. Not only that, it led him to teach others around him this beautiful science and this beautiful ancient art. So we are so happy and excited to bring Lloyd onto the stage. Let me get him up here and we're going to get started. Welcome to Numbers Matter, Lloyd.
Thanks, Belinda. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you today?
I am fine, and speaking of congratulations to your daughter that graduated. As I said, when you sent me a picture, she looks just like her mother. Period. End of story.
Thank you, Lloyd. It was such an exciting day for me yesterday, so I appreciate you saying that. And you know, it's hard road with these kids, so we got through the battle, we got through the graduation, and yes, she does look like me. She does have two of her mother's numbers,
Yes,
so
yes,
I know from your show when you were doing the breakdown of who do you look like more, you were looking at whose numbers do they have more of,
yes.
right?
And
Yeah,
you're
so
too, and I think your daughter's born on the 29th, I think, of September.
she's born on the 20th, the same day as me.
But the 20th of September.
September, yes.
Yeah, so you're actually born a month apart, but you're born on the 20th of August. She's born on the 20th of September.
Yes, exactly a month apart. 820 and 920. So yes, we have the same first few numbers. And I'm really excited for her and I'm proud of her and I'm proud um to see the next things that she does.
Oh,
So
that's good. Leo mothers
yep.
don't play. Actually, most mothers don't play anyway. So, but I think this is congratulations to her, and especially congratulations to you to see her walk across and get her diploma, whatever. That's great.
Yes, thank you so much, Lloyd. So, let me just make sure everyone in the audience can hear us. Can you guys all hear us okay? Because I just want to make sure the audio is okay. Lloyd, you can hear me, right?
Very well. Very,
Perfect.
very well.
Okay. Okay. If you guys can hear us in the audience, please just put a number 2 in the audience. If you can hear us, just put a 2 in there. Yes, Teresa says yes, she can hear us well. And I want to thank her for being here. So let's just say hi since they're here. Teresa's here and Kimberly is here. I want to say peace and love to the queen. And also Cosmic Sunflower. Thank you guys for being here. So I want to just jump right into it. We know that Lloyd is a world-renowned astronumerologist, of course. But Lloyd, we always hear you talking about your favorite loves, and you always say your first favorite love is numerology, your second is astrology, and then your third favorite love is palmistry. And to me, I think that seals the deal. That's 1, 2, 3. That's the magic of the universe, right? One, two,
Yeah,
three.
for
So
me
with
it
those
is.
three, yeah, right. How does that? How did you? So talk about. So we know a little bit about your numerology history, but talk about your palmistry and when did you get into palmistry and how did you kind of transition to kind of want to learn palmistry throughout your numerology journey?
Well, actually, what got me into it was astrology first, because
Okay.
that was more the popular thing. So, this is why every newspaper, except maybe the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, has an astrology column. And then from there, I got into numerology. Once I got into numerology, it really got me hooked. But then I led into it was almost like not something that was planned, but something that just grew organically, and especially in the hands, because
Mm-hmm.
one of the persons that I was studying about numerology, his name was Cairo. Some call him Chiro, Cairo, but he was born in 1866 on November the 1st in Scotland. But he wrote this book, Language of the Hands, and then Cairo's Book of Numbers. And
Mm,
it was in that one that he talked about the palms and whatnot. Then that's when I began to really understand the power of the hand. The hand does
yeah.
everything. It's just incredible. We don't even think about it. We just do it. We don't even have to give a direction. If you tie your shoe, we know how to do. It's just don't think. It's a lot of it is subconscious where we do our hands.
Hmm. So talk a little bit about how these three sciences intersect now. So what is the significance of astrology and numerology as it pertains to palmistry? What are some of the similarities?
Well, the common thread between the three are the planets.
Hmm.
Once you know the nature of the planets, you understand the nature of the zodiac signs, the nature of the numbers, and the nature of the uh, hand. So, for example, the best example in palmistry are the fingers. Each finger is ruled by a planet. So, the
Oh,
first finger, that's
hmm,
Jupiter. Okay. The second
Jupiter,
finger is Saturn. Then the
Saturn,
third finger is the sun. The fourth
Sun.
finger is Mercury. Then the thumb here, that's Venus. On this side is the moon. So
Oh,
it's yeah, so it's all connected. It's and you can in that way really understand how it works. Um, and because that is the greatest connection once, and I tell people, if you can understand and study the nature of the planet, you will understand the nature of the signs, the nature of the numbers, and also parts of the hand as well. That's
yes.
the common glue, the planets. That's a great question.
It's a common glue. I love that. So let me ask you now about the cultural variations. Are there significant cultural variations or differences in palmistry practices? And if there are, how does that impact the interpretation?
Well, I guess it is. Although the fingers will represent the planetary signs, it is the art of the interpreter. So you can have a person that's just starting out trying to interpret a zodiac sign versus another person that's been doing it for years or decades and know how to do it. First of all, the older they have more experience, more nuances, more life's experience of dealing with this. But when I was in India, for example, which is, I see the palmistry and numerology, they deal it different. In fact, they don't call it palm readers or astrologers, they call them gurus. So they called me
Oh,
the guru of the West when I was there in the East. So
hmm,
yeah, so that's how
that's
it.
cool. I think we could start calling you. We could get used to calling you the guru. The guru. We'll
It's
call you the guru of the West.
it's okay. Don't embarrass me.
You know I'll do it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but that's how it starts. So all the cultures at some point have it to a greater or lesser degree. But in India, it's very prominent. They love Hero's books. A lot of his books were sold there. You can see they've been edited and re-edited and then kind of repackaged and whatnot. But he actually had learned in India. He was taught by the Brahmins, who then taught him, and then he came back to England, which was his base by the time he became a palmist, and from there just became well worldwide, world known for his ability to interpret the hands. Because just like no face is the same, maybe with the exceptions of twins, identical twins, and even then there's a difference. No
Hmm.
two faces are the same. That's why I can tell what you are, who you are versus your daughter versus someone else. Yes, we all have a mouth, a nose, eyes, but it is how the creator arranges it where I can tell you from another person.
Hmm. Hmm. So let me ask you about this. I watched the very informative show you guys did. With Lloyd was on Astro-Numerology Revealed the other day with Kimberly. So if you missed that show, you want to go check that out. You also want to be making sure you're subscribed to Kimberly. But I heard you say on that show that if it's in the brain, I think you said something along the lines of if it's in the brain, it's recorded in the hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you about that. Do our does do we have everything that we're born with at the time of birth, or do our hands change over time? And do they
Things
get full
that's a great
lines?
question because things develop. Certain lines
Yes.
will come, certain lines will go, all
Wow.
depending on the impression. So whatever is happening in the mind oftentimes is reflected in the hands at some point.
Hmm.
And
That's
it's
what you
through
said.
life experiences. Yes, that's it.
Yes.
So it is something that you don't see by way of something overnight, but then you'll see a
Yes.
line that will grow, then a line maybe that'll begin to fade and whatnot.
Wow.
And so this will help you a lot. Even the way a person holds up their hands. So for
Hmm.
example, if a person holds up their hands and the thumb, the pinky is wider, that represents uh, action. The person believes in action. If a person's first finger is open more so, it is in thought. So it's independence in thoughts, independent in action. Okay.
Wow.
So
So
you
I'm
can
an
look at your,
independent in action.
yeah. So you look at
Yeah.
yours right away, your pig is standing out there. So and so when you hear people raise their hand to make this swear on the Bible, make the oath that yeah, I'm not gonna lie about that. All you gotta do is
Uh-huh.
just watch and see which hand has. And then there's the length of the fingers, from the
Hmm.
first finger, the second finger, the third. These things are very, very important. So the
Hmm.
beauty of it when I teach and do this, there's a lot you can see just from the outside of the hand. Then the most
Hmm.
important part is the lines in the hands. See, and these are
Yes.
things that you don't get to see, but you can by observing. But first of all, it's about are the fingers long, are the fingers short, are the nails long, are the whether the shape of the nails. It's so many components to this that it just makes it nice. And what I like about palmistry, it teaches you the art of observation, to
Hmm.
pay attention, to make
Yes.
sure that, and then also I look for the way I like to teach my students what is normal, what is not normal, and that is
Hmm.
the main thing. And did you
Hmm.
know that the left hand and the right hand are normally different?
I was going to ask you about that. So go ahead and expound on it.
The left hand normally denotes what you inherit from your mom or dad. The right hand is what you create for yourself. So
Wow.
although you're looking, but if you put your hands together like this, you'll see
Hmm.
that on one hand, the lines will be different. Like in one
Right.
hand, the line in the center, the headline will curve down more and then maybe one will go straight, but they're never
Yes.
identical.
They're
Very
not. And on this, and on my right hand, I see I have an extra line in the middle going up. So yeah, they're very different now
yes,
that I'm looking at them.
yes. Well, it
So
just shows
the
you.
left
Go ahead.
so the left hand is what your say what the
It,
left hand is
the
again.
left hand is from your mom and dad
Hmm.
on what they came with, and then the right hand is what you develop on your own.
So the left hand is kind of like a familial
Yes, like
type,
ancestral. You know,
like
we have
ancestral.
habits or whatever. So, like your
Hmm.
daughter, when you showed the picture, she looked just like you. So, if you look at her hand, she will have a similar length of lines similar to yours, and then
Hmm.
different also because of you, her dad, and whatnot like that. So, the
Hmm.
rule of thumb is that the right hand is what we create ourselves in. And sometimes they might be identical, but if it's identical, it means you don't do any more to what your mom or dad accomplished. So the theory is
Oh,
with each generation we're supposed to get better. That's how the world grows
right.
and improves, so your daughter is more in the tech than you are. Then if she has her daughter will be more into AI than she was, and
Yes.
it's an ever growing process. So it makes sense.
It does make sense, and I'm so glad that you mentioned it. So that's very interesting, and that is why you asked me when I said Lloyd, and I came up with this crazy idea. I said, Lloyd, can we read some palms live on the show? And of course, you said yes. And then and I said, well, which hand should we read? And you said the right hand because you just explained that the right hand is what you. It's for
What
you.
you
It's
what you what you are or becoming. I'll put it
but
like
you
that.
are what you are becoming and
Yes.
not so
Mm-hmm.
much as the influence of your familial line, your
Yes.
ancestral line.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Very cool, Lloyd. I love that. So, guys, all of this, we're here too. Let me just remind you guys that Lloyd has a palmistry workshop coming up this August, July, I'm sorry, this July
29.
29th.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually next week. Let me take this down so we can see the whole thing. So it starts July 29th at 7 p.m. It's going to be a 4-week workshop. So if you guys want to learn palmistry, it's a beginner palmistry workshop. Learn the art of palm reading with Lloyd. There's the QR code right there. You can go ahead and take a snapshot of that QR code and make sure that you get into the class with him next week because we're learning tonight now about how important this is and how important of an art this is. And if you're already someone that either maybe you're in the metaphysical world, and you do other things, this would be a nice tool to put in your wheelhouse to kind of add on to the things that you already do, right, Lloyd?
Yes. And the beauty of the hand is somewhat like water is taken for granted until you miss it. Okay.
Yes.
The hand does so many things you don't even think about. It's a way of expressing yourself. It
Hmm.
opens and buttons things. It opens jars, ties shirts and blouses, and scratch and soothe and caress like you hold a baby and whatnot. It does so many things, and yet it's also designed to defend itself in battle or confrontation. But
Hmm.
the hand is, and we just don't even think about it.
Yeah.
We don't say, "Okay, hands, now I'm about to tie my shoes, and I'm going to tell you." We just
Right.
tie our shoes. Don't
We
even
don't
look at
say, hand, we're going to open this door. Now go ahead and turn that knob. We just
it.
go ahead and do it.
Exactly. You just don't. Because
Right.
it becomes such a part of our that's what I'm saying that so whatever is in the mind is eventually reflected in the palm of the hand by way of lines and things of that nature. So it's very fascinating.
Very fascinating. And I think it's super fascinating. Like you said, over time, as you develop and as you make decisions and go down different paths, your right hand's it's gonna change.
Yes.
It's gonna have lines that add that fade away. Now, let me ask you one more question, because oftentimes you'll see a hand like with my hand, you see like my lines are kind of dark and deep.
Hmm.
What does it mean when the lines are very faint? Because sometimes these lines are very faint, all of them, and you can't really see it.
Well,
Is
in
there a difference
theory,
with that?
all the lines should be deeply marked. That denotes a deeply marked personality. Then you
Mhm.
have some lines that are faint, where you almost gotta get real close to see them. So that means that the personality may not be as strong. But
Mm.
normally, the deeper the lines, the stronger the personality is. And
Very
so it all
interesting.
depends. And then there are major lines in the hands. So then
Hmm.
there's the shape of the fingers, the length of the fingers, things like that. So let's say
Hmm.
you meet a person and they have short fingers. Well, those are
Hmm.
the ones that like to get right to the point. So, you know, let's say I'm dealing with a person with short fingers, and they say, "Well, how was your day?" Instead of me getting right to it, I say, "Well, when I got to work this morning, I talked to the boss, and so and so and so." They don't want to hear that. Is it yes or no? But if you
Right.
go into a person, and this is great when you go in an interview. So if you go in an interview and the person has long fingers, they're more inclined to ask questions. You got to go further down the rabbit hole with them.
Hmm.
You can't say, well, you know what I mean. No, what do you mean? Okay.
Right.
If you go into an interview and the person has short fingers, you can normally, what it does is get right to the point. Don't dance all around the barn. Well, back in the day, that is not the question I asked you. So it
Right.
helps you kind of give things, and even your thumbs, because your thumb represents your will or lack of will.
Mm.
you know. So
Wow.
there's a part of the thumb that's this top is the will, and then this part is the logic, will and the logic. So like back in the days of our grandparents and their parents, when the parents took the infants to the doctor, they did the thumb test. They would hold them up by the
Hmm.
thumb, you know.
Yeah.
Interesting phenomenon that at the thumb here, at the base of the thumb there is that uh, kind of like corner there. Well, when people are normally close to transitioning or about to leave this planet, the thumb begins to sink in. It's almost as if
Oh.
they're losing their will. Now, in my last class, we had a doctor that actually worked in a medical facility, and she confirmed that that was true, that from her own
Um,
observation. So if you got a loved one in the hospital and they're right close to it, what you got to do is kind of look at the thumb. And if the thumb begins to give the appearance of sinking into the hand itself, that means they're close to transition. So there's a lot of things you can tell without having to kind of ask or you just see. This is why I love palmistry because it tells you to pay attention to what you see.
mhm. I love that. It's so fascinating, Lloyd. So let me ask you about the major lines. So you brought them up a little bit. So just talk about the major lines, like the heart line, the headline, and the lifeline, because I know those are the major lines. So
Hmm.
do you want to just give us a little synopsis on
Yes,
like what
yes.
they mean?
Yes, there are actually five lines, but there are three major ones and then minor
Hmm.
ones. It's like the three major features of the face. You got your eyes,
Hmm.
your nose, your mouth. Then the minor one
Hmm.
is you got your ears, your chin, the shape of your face and stuff. The main line is the line that goes around the ball of the thumb. That's your
Okay.
lifeline. That tells how well you have maintained your vitality. Okay.
Hmm.
Sometimes it normally should be straight and uninterrupted, but there will be times where I saw one recently where the lifeline was broken, then it overlapped, and they explained that they were sick around about that time. Okay.
Hmm.
And then there's the most, but to me, the most important line is the line in the center of the hand. That's the headline or the line of mentality. That tells you who you are actually dealing with. Okay. So you see, so the three lines is the line around the hand, the ball of the thumb, that's the lifeline. Then the line going just above the lifeline, going across the center of the hand, that's the headline of the line of mentality. Then the line that's going underneath the fingers is the line of heart. It tells you about your mental perfection and things of that nature. So when you look at it, it tells a lot. Now, ideally, there should be just a slight space before yours, but you see, mine is kind of tied down. And when it's tied down, it means a kind of a sensitive kind of beginning. And I was sensitive. I was one of them sensitive kids when I grew up. But as you get older, as it winds down, you see it begins to separate. And the more it begins to separate from the lifeline itself going across the hand, it just tells you that this is when you begin to develop your own individuality. So it tells a lot. It tells so much. And then there's a line that you see that's going up the center of the third finger, the ring finger, that's the sun line. Okay. And then you got another line that's going up this way, and that is the line of fate or destiny. But the major lines is your lifeline, your headline, and your heart line. Then there are cases where both the heart line and the headline merges as one. That's called a simian line. And those are the most difficult people sometimes to deal with. It's not difficult in a bad way, but sometimes they can't separate their emotions from the logic. It's all one, it's so interesting. And I've seen those too. And in my class I show pictures of celebrities that's got, like the former governor of New York, Mario Cuomo's got a line where these two lines, the top and the middle line, goes as one. It goes straight across as one line. That is not normal. See, and so my thing is to teach my students, you know, it's nice to know what it means. So when if I do an intermediate, I'll get more into detail. But what you want to do is say that's normal, that's not normal. So you know. So like one of the illustrations is a Ted Bundy, this guy that killed all these women. That from an outward appearance, he would be considered good looking by women's standards. He was smart and everything. But had they looked at that line right there, that line in the center, it was not normal. It was not normal, which should have told them maybe. So when they talk about you can't judge a book by appearance, in a way, that's true.
Right. Fascinating stuff. And I see how intricate this is, Lloyd. And I see it's no different than the other sciences, like how numerology is so intricate. There's so many different ways that you can look at things, different avenues, and how deep the rabbit hole goes on what you can find out. Same thing with astrology. And I can see palmistry is not disappointing. It's no different. There are so many different things that you can look at the hand and learn from. And like you said, it doesn't matter what people say. It's going to be what you, and I love that line that you say, if it's happening in the mind, it's recorded in the hands.
Yeah,
I think that could be a
everything.
tagline for you. Yeah, it's a tagline. We can
Hadn't thought
clean it
about
up and
that,
make
but
it a
that's a good
tagline.
idea. Yeah.
So you guys make sure, here goes the QR code again. Make sure if you want to sign up for the palmistry course, it's starting next week on July 29th. It's going to be a 4-week course. Lloyd's going to be teaching the course himself. So make sure you sign up to get in on this action. You don't want to miss this.
And I
So
always
real
make
quick.
it fun and informative, because that's
Of course.
you learn quicker when it's fun, when you kind of make it fun and engaging. And then it's going to be heavily illustrated with hands.
And I can tell you that any course that you take with Lloyd, you're going to learn, and it's going to be fun and informative. It definitely will be fun and informative. So Lloyd, so we have a treat. We're going to read some palms.
Yes.
Of course, we it's a live show, so we didn't want to go overboard. So we picked about 9 palms. So everyone that submitted your palms, I want to thank you for submitting your palm. If your palm wasn't chosen, please do not charge it to anything, heart or head. It's just that it's a limited time, and we can't take up all of Lloyd's time reading palms all night on the show. So we wanted to limit it. So I thought it would be interesting to do 9 palms, just like we have numbers 1 through 9. We're going to do 9 palms. So before we get into the palms, though, Lloyd, I want to check in with the audience, because people are checking in with us, and there's some questions. So I want to let you try to get to those questions before you start. So we already know that Teresa's on the check-in, and we know that Cosmic Sunflower is here, and we know that Kimberly is here with us. Peace and love to you, Queen. Happy Leo season to you. And we want to say peace and love and queens up to Londa. She said she can hear us. So this was early on. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. Peace and love to you, Queen Denise. Thank you so much for being here. We got our girl, Kanaya.
Hey.
Thank you for being here. Peace and
I
love,
enjoy
Queen.
her on the show.
That's right. She did a phenomenal job on your show the other day,
She had me
Lloyd.
vocalizing and humming. I said, what's that?
Listen, she had me humming and lumming and lomming and doming and singing and ooming and dooming. And I was
had
like,
such a nice
man.
time with Kanaya.
Yes, it was.
Fun.
Very positive and very uplifting. We have our sister Quintella in her standing out here. Yep. Peace and love and light to you, Queen. And that's Kimberly. She's laughing at us. You know, she's always laughing at us at our shenanigans. And then Denise is saying, "Wow, he's right. The lines are different." So she's
Yes,
referring to the left and the right hands.
yes.
Yes, they are.
But what
Yep.
happens is, so because we not looking, we got this hand and that hand, but if you put them side by side and look, you start at the top, the head, the heart line, start in the center, the headline, and start at the bottom, the lifeline. Normally there'll be some shade of nuance of difference.
It definitely is. It definitely is. So this is good because some people are asking about that again, so we can reiterate that. This is Yellow Soul, the creator. I think she sent the palm, and I might have hers up here, but I'm not sure if I do. And she's saying, is that the left or the right hand? So Yellow Soul creator, I'll just reiterate for you that the left hand is more of an ancestral line, and
Hmm.
what's kind of what you're getting from your parents, and your right hand is what you are contributing. It's what you are here and what your lines are.
Yeah,
So
it's
they
what they're
are
creating for
different
themselves.
for yourself, what you're
Yeah,
gaining for
yeah, what
yourself,
you are becoming, separate from
what
your
you're
parents.
becoming. There you
Hmm.
go. There you go. Lloyd said it. All right. So she says, does it matter which hand? And we just answered that. And then
Hmm.
she wanted to know about the books about palmistry. So Lloyd mentioned Cairo's book. Um,
Yeah, there are many books on the subject of palmistry now. I've got about 30 different books in my collection. I
mhm.
probably got more than that actually, but there are a lot of books. But the one I like is Kiro's uh, Language of the Hands, You and Your Hands, things of that nature. And his name is spelled Cheiro. He is considered
Yes.
like the teacher to teachers of palmists. Cheiro, and you can get these
And it's
books.
called Language of the Hands, Lloyd.
Yes, Language of the Hands.
Okay. I'll put it up here for them. So there you guys go. There's a book. That's a good beginner's book. So
Hmm.
you can begin with that. And then what you can also do is you can sign up right here for Lloyd's course. Let me take that banner off of there. These things are always funny with that. You can
Yeah.
sign up for Lloyd's course. If you want to learn from the best, you can do it right here starting July 29th. You can scan that QR code and get a beginner's course with Lloyd. So you can obviously the books are great to have, but you obviously want to learn it from someone who's experienced, and someone that knows and that can answer your questions in real time that you can't get that from a book.
Hmm.
So make sure you guys sign up for that course and get in with Lloyd for that. And let me just double check the audience real quick. So Londa said, so if the right hand changes, is there an age it should be looked at, i.e., could it have been seen in Ted Bundy's hand before he killed?
Yes. Yes. And in fact, in my upcoming class, I actually will have a image of his palm. Yes.
Great. So if you guys want to know more about that, make sure you're signed up for the class. And Yellow the Soul Creator said that makes sense. So thank you so much. And I'm glad Lloyd was here to answer that question. And I'm so glad that we're here. You guys, we're here today. We're talking about palmistry matters. So we are so happy to have world-renowned astro-numerologist Lloyd Strayhorn here to discuss this with us. And we have a real treat for you guys now. We're at the about the half hour mark. So we're going to get into these readings because I want to give Lloyd time to get the readings off and say whatever he wants to say about anything extra that he wants to say about this. So first and foremost, let me take this banner down. I'm going to put Lloyd and I over here to the side, and we're going to bring up our first hand. So Lloyd, what I tried to do, and what I will just preface before you go, I try to be very savvy. So what I was trying to do, I was trying to get people born 1 through 9, get a 1 through 9 birth number and get
Hmm.
their hands. So I have that for the most part. And I know that that doesn't it has to be that way, but it's just, by how my brain works. Um, so this is the first hand. Now you tell me, Lloyd, do you want to know whose hands these are? If I know, or like what do you want me
No.
to tell you?
No.
Okay.
No.
So he doesn't want to know whose hand this is, but this is the first hand. This is number one. So
Okay.
I'll let Lloyd go.
Well, first of all, if you look at the hand, the pinky is wider, so it means independent of action. That's the first thing. Okay. Then when I look at the hands, what I'm looking at are the lines right now. The first one I'm looking at is that line that curves around the ball of the thumb. That
This
is
one,
your
Lloyd?
lifeline, your line of mentality. What is interesting, I'm looking at the now just above the lifeline. See, because the lifeline starts under the first finger, and it curves all the way down around the ball. But then just above that is that separate line, which is called the heart line. I mean the headline. Now, because it's curving downward, if it's curving downward and it ends by the palm, which is where that side is called the moon. So normally these are your dreamers, these are your artists, these are your creative people. So this person may have leaning toward the arts in some way, shape, or form. Then the line underneath the fingers is the headlines. I mean, excuse me, the line of hearts that deals with the mentality of things. Now, it's interesting. He has, or what I don't know why I call it a he, but the line is going and it should end. It starts under the pinky and it curves across and it should slope up and in between the first two fingers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens is because I'm seeing a little branch, a teeny tiny branch just
Yes.
below the fork, it means
Mm-hmm.
leans over there. So that means there could be some times he might have some control issues, but you'll definitely see it with others. I'm also looking under the base of the pinky, and there's a crease underneath the base of the pinky. Those are called the lines of marriage, and it's up there. So this if this person is married or live with somebody, it's probably around about somewhere around the mid 30s, 30s, 35, or something of that nature. They do have a line, a fate line. That's that line that's going up the center of the hand from the wrist. It's going all the way up, and it goes into it. So it tells me this person has a life that's kind of like, with some adventure to it. It's not just get up, go to work, come back, go home, lay down, get up, go to work, a monotonous life. And it also has a little sun line, which is a line that's just above, just underneath the third finger next to the pinky, and it indicates that there might be some notoriety they may get at some point later on. But it tells me this though, whoever this person is, they had a challenge in their youthfulness with their temper, because I'm looking at the headline, but the headline is sending a branch
Mm.
just underneath there, and that's where the upper Mars is. So when you got a branch going down there, that means one of their challenges could have been with temper, but then as it got older, they kind of grew out of it and had more control. And especially since it's curving down toward the moon, which it deals with emotional things, so that may have been it too. But they got interesting hands. They have pointed, have conic fingernails, which is more rounded, which more makes them more creative and artistic, things like that. So that's what I see. It looks like a busy hand.
Yes, that is a very, very busy hand. So that was a great reading, Lloyd. Thank you so much for that. So
Do you know
someone in
this
the
person's
audience,
hand?
I do. You know this person too.
Oh, okay. If you say so. All
But
right.
all right, let me take this one down and then let me just try something because someone in the audience was saying, let me see what she said. I'm going to try to share it from the different screens so I can have a pointer on it, Lloyd, if that
Sure.
makes sense.
Sure.
Because I
Sure.
think people want to make sure they know which line you're talking about.
Yes, I
Um,
would like that very much if you can.
can you speak, identify? So let me, while I'm doing that, Cosmic Flower wants you to speak on identifying the different type shape of hands. It gets confusing looking at the picture. I
Sure.
think she's talking, that's what we're talking about. Hold on. Let me share the screen. I'm going to share it this way.
Okay.
This way, we should be able to see it better. Well, I don't know if we'll see it better, but we'll definitely be able to point to it.
Okay.
Lloyd, can you still see that good or is that too little?
No, well, I can see it. I can see it.
Okay, because I don't know if, let me see if I can make it bigger. There, is that better?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, let me hide this. Okay, so that's good. So now I can point when Lloyd says something. So we already did hand
Yes.
number one. So we're going to go to
Hmm.
hand number two. Okay, so give me one
Okay.
second. Let me pull two up. Um, okay. Here's hand number two.
Okay. Um, Now, if you notice, this person's hands is the lines are very deep, very strong, and I always start with the lifeline, that line that curves around the ball of the hand, that lifeline
This
right
one
there.
here.
Yep, that's nice and straight. It's uninterrupted, which means under normal conditions, they should have a good body temple in terms of the way they take care of themselves and whatnot. What is happening is if you look and go back at the very top where the headline begins, the lifeline begins, the headline and the headline is that line that goes across the center of the hand all the way out to the mid. That's it. Well, it's tied together. It's tied together. Normally, when it's tied together, it tells me that this person started out with a very sensitive and emotional beginning. Okay.
Hmm.
And then it has a little island. An island is, if you go back, it looks like a little teardrop, just a small little
Right
teardrop.
here.
Yes, right there, right there. You just right
Hmm.
there where you had it,
Right
right
here.
there.
Okay.
And anytime you see a island on any part of the line, it tells me at that point there is a weakness, and it's not bad. It's just maybe a challenge or something of that nature. Okay,
Hmm.
so that's what I'm looking at. But there is going
Oop.
is
Hold on, Lloyd. Hold on.
okay.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So theirs is not, the headline isn't curving down as much as the first line, the first example you gave me. This person's hand is more wider between the third and the fourth finger, which means independence of action. Okay. And if you look at the fingers that are separated, because I think it's a woman because it looks like a nail at the top of the pinky. Yeah,
It's a
that's
woman.
widely separated. So if it's widely separated in this area, it represents independent of action, that they take their own action and whatnot. But had it been wider at between the first and second finger means more independence of thought. Great, great. Then I'm looking at the heart line. That's the line that you just pulled right there. The heart line goes underneath the hands. And I'm looking at, now there's a line that's going straight up the hand in the center right
This
there.
one.
Yes, that is called the fate line. Normally, it just indicates some possibilities of they're pursuing a career and following it. It went all the way up too, so it's going to be good. And then underneath the third finger, I'm looking at the line of sun. It's right there. Just go down. That's it. Starts right there. So it tells me that
Hmm.
at some point in time, probably between the mid 40s and upwards, that they're going to reach some point of notoriety and things like that. But this is a very strong hand. But I tell you this, they had a very sensitive beginning. And even the way the lifeline started too, it started with a long kind of island or space with it. So it tells me they may have started out in a very sickly childhood and then outgrew it. In fact, actually got stronger. That's how I see that.
Hmm. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. Anything else on this hand, or are we done here?
No, I was looking at there's a
Okay.
line underneath the pinky when I was doing the segment with Miss Kimberly on
This
relationships.
line right here, Lloyd.
Yeah, that's the line of marriage or the line of union. And that tells
Hmm.
me there's something that's now had the line that's going across, which is horizontal, those are the marriage lines. So it either you live with somebody, married somebody, and then you have lines that are perpendicular going up and down, which you can't see from this image. That would indicate the number of children or whatever the case is,
Hmm.
the children desire. But it's an interesting hand. It's not bad.
Hmm. Cool. All right. Next hand.
Yes.
Next hand. Here we go.
Okay. Now, this hand, the way, let's start around I'll start at the lifeline. Now, notice as you're coming around the ball, it sends a branch off. So it
Hmm.
tells me that this person will probably travel extensively. Okay. Um,
Hmm.
that's what I'm looking at. But I'm looking at how tied down. See the headline and the heart, the lifeline should have a little space. But when it's tied down like that at the beginning, it means some very sensitive beginning as they started out. But then as it begins to curve around and the headline separates more, that says they found more their individuality. This person also has the mystic cross. There's an X, a kind of an X in the center of the hand,
Right
right
here.
there. Yep, that's the mystic cross. So that means either the person could be very gifted or have a love of knowledge and wisdom and understanding, things like that. And I'm looking, and it's interesting. The fingers curve. If you look at the ring finger, it sort of curves toward the first finger, and the second finger is curving. So there's like the fingers are curving toward each other, which tells me they're very philosophical in the way their outlook on life. And this person is almost even with the third and the fourth finger slightly wider more than the first. So this person is somewhat independent of action. And then if you go to the other side, they're kind of independent of thought. But if I had to give it more space, it would definitely be between the third and the fourth finger. But this person would exhibit both of those. Now, if you look underneath the base of the finger, see that line that's going right there? That's the relationship line right there, right there.
Here.
So that's the line. Now, ideally, the line should be nice and straight. But I was explaining if the line curves downward, slopes downward, it tells me that this person is going to outlive their partner. And there's a lot to it too. All this I teach in the class, you know.
Look, I'm looking like.
Yeah, everybody does that. Everybody does that.
Yeah.
And listen, I'll be looking myself. I'll be taking all kind of pictures, but
Right.
also I will say this too. If you go back to the lifeline, all right. Now, if you go all the way to the top, if you notice, there's a small branch that goes upward. Right there,
here.
that little branch, that tells me this person will have a lot of ambition. Anytime, yes, a lot of ambition, because that's a Jupiter finger. That's the finger that denotes ambition. That denotes leadership abilities and whatnot. And the fact that that branch is going up there tell me that that person kind of, although very sensitive, always had desire to do something with their lives and whatnot. And then under the third finger, the ring finger, you see a slight line. That line there, that's the sun line.
Yep.
That means that this person at some point in time will receive their dues, their flowers, their props, for things like that. Now, in palmistry, from the base of the fingers to the base of the hand is 70 years. The headline normally is 35 years. So if a person is 35 years and under, I'm reading anything below the headline. Okay. The headline is underneath. No, that's the heart line.
Oh, this one. That's the heart line to this one.
That's the headline.
This is the headline.
Yes. Now, to me, of all three, that's the most important line to pay attention to when you're dealing with people, especially in relationship. They call it the line of mentality or the line of head. So you can have a person where the woman's all physically attractive on the outside, the guy's all handsomely devilish on the outside. But if you look at that hand, that part, that headline will tell you a whole lot. It should be normal. It should either be slightly curving. So hers curves, and notice how long it is. It curves toward the thumb. That's the area of the moon right there.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, so that means a person is very creative, artistic, imaginative, expressive. If it was going more sloping straight, like if you notice mine, see mine, it doesn't curve down that much, just slightly, but mine is more straight, where that's more curving. So mine is more of a business kind of attitude, although I played an instrument, but you know, that's what you can see.
Okay. This is great, Lloyd. I love this. Okay. On to the next hand.
Yes.
Yes, I think we did this hand good. Hey, here's the next hand.
Okay.
Let me just get this. Oh, hold on, Lloyd. This thing's there. We go. This
Now
is the
this to
hand.
me
Can
is
you
a
see it?
very unusual hand. That's the first thing I see.
Okay.
It has short fingers and a long palm. And what's happening is the first finger is sitting down. Normally it should be spacious. It's kind of like, but if you notice, this first finger sits down more. So where the Jupiter finger is more for leadership, it means their challenge might be toward leadership, or they'll try to
Mm,
be a leader, but there will always be resistance. There will always be somebody who want to knock them from their position. The fingers are very
mm-hmm,
slim, very long, so they're like psychic fingers, which means super sensitive and whatnot. And then the
mm-hmm,
lines are faint going around.
mm-hmm,
And see the lifeline, which I always start with going around the ball of the thumb, okay?
mm-hmm.
And
This
then the
line right
headline,
here.
that's, and yes, and then there's that headline, that's the one that goes out into the middle of the hand. So that's
Mm-hmm,
kind of faint. And what's interesting is the hands are kind of twisted or crooked, especially the third and the fourth finger. I don't know whether
mm-hmm,
the pinky was by accident or like an injury or something to the hand.
mm-hmm.
Um, but it would indicate that this person is kind of like they're very
Oops,
different.
hold
This
on.
is not a normal hand. This
Mm-hmm.
is not a normal hand.
And these lines being a little faint, Lloyd, this is the question I was saying. Like, what does it mean when the lines are less faint
When it's like when it's
as opposed to a lines like how
yeah.
mines are very deep?
Well, when the lines are deeper, it more denotes a deeper characteristic of the person. When it's faint
Okay.
like that, the less. It's not
Okay.
that this person can achieve things or do things, but they're not a standout. They wouldn't walk into the room and command the attention of everybody. Everybody would look at this person or whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this is a very unusual hand, and
Okay.
actually the line should be straight. So I don't know whether this was a natural deformity or whatever the case is, but those fingers should be straight. But the
Mm-hmm.
third and the fourth finger are kind of like they're not straight. That's all I can say. And
Mm-hmm.
the sun line rules your the way you think, your personality, and the middle line the pinky rules the thinking because that's the Mercury finger that governs the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it looks like they have a faint heart line right there where you
Mm-hmm.
had it. No, yeah, that's a heart line, but just above it, I'm looking at the
The
relationship
relationship
right there.
line.
That
Mm-hmm.
looks faint too. So it means they may have a relationship, but not as so much as significance as such. But,
Mm-hmm.
but what's happening is the first thing I saw was how low the first finger sits.
Mm-hmm.
So this
Mm-hmm.
person may find a challenge of confidence. That may be more the thing like that. They got a long
Okay.
tongue too. So anyway, that's what I'm seeing.
Very interesting, Lloyd. Very interesting. So that's why I'm glad we got a lot of hands so we can see the variations.
Yeah,
And
everybody's
just
hands
like
are different.
yes,
But we just
I was
don't
gonna say it.
we just shake hands and that's it, and we might touch hands. But if you begin to pay attention to people's hands, it tells you a lot. And because it's got
Right.
long fingers, it tells me they would have a love of detail. That you cannot
Mm.
talk to them
Yep.
in generalities. Well, you know what I mean. You gotta really be specific. And then because the fingers are so slim, these would be
Mm-hmm.
more like psychic hands that sensitivity, and even the headline, which is the line in the center of the hand, is curving more toward the moon, which means more artistic, more dreamy. This person could either be a water
Mm-hmm.
sign like Pisces or something of that nature.
God, Lord, you're so good. You're so good. I'm just gonna tell you, this is a Scorpio.
Yeah, but it's water sign. Yeah,
Water sign. Yeah, it's a water
yeah,
sign.
yeah, yeah.
So
Okay.
good. You see, so hold on, guys. Before I get to the next hand, because Lloyd is up here crushing it. So before I get to the next hand, let's just make sure that we're keeping everything in context for what we're here for. We want you guys to you want to know more about this, you want to learn more about your own hands, about the hands of the people that you are involved with. The beginner palmistry workshop starts next week, July 29th. It's a 4-week course with Lloyd Strayhorn. He will be there with you, showing you these pictures, going over this with you intimately, teaching it to you in a fun and informative way. And there's the QR code. So, guys, make sure you are signed up to get this course.
And let me
Okay,
say, we
Lloyd.
make the class affordable, so you can either pay all at once or do
Mhm.
increments. So with all that's there, the QR code will give you directions. Some may want to pay all of it outright. Some may want to pay in parts that lets them breathe a little bit because everybody's on a budget. But whatever the case is, it's designed. If you're really serious about joining us, and I think you should, you'll
Mhm.
find it to your satisfaction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's get on to the next hands. Here goes the next hands, Lloyd, and let me get my pointer. Hold on. Oops.
Okay.
There we go.
Well, you see
I'm
right
sorry.
away whether this person is independent in action or independent in thought. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Notice how why the first, the third, and the fourth finger are separately.
Mm-hmm.
That denotes independent of action. They will take their own actions. Had it been the person's second finger, but again, this person is kind of like a little of both too. But there's
Mm-hmm.
more than anything about the actions they take. They have very strong lines. Now, in this person's lines, I always start with the lifeline going around the ball of the curve. Now, as it goes around the ball toward the bottom, it begins to fade out. It begins, see, it's strong, and then as you begin to go down and around the ball, and see how it begins to fade. So,
It
what
kind
is
of branches and fades a little, looks like a little branch
yeah,
and a fade, kind of,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So it means travel, but it tells me as they get older, um, they need to make sure that they take care. See, the beautiful part is that by knowing these things, you can start in advance. A lot of times we wait around till we're in our 40s, 50s, then all of a sudden we want to get it together. Well, it's kind
Right.
of late. So by mid 30s, early mid 40s, if you're about wanting to live a very long, healthy life, that's when you should start exercising, walking, doing whatever you need to. It's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. I'm looking at his headline. If you look at his headline, that's the line that's in the center of the hand. It looks
Right
go
here.
straight, and then all of a sudden it took a dive. Here's what that tells me. See how just all of a sudden just dipped?
It dips and there's an X at the end of it, Lloyd.
Yes, yes, that's right. Normally, X's is not a good sign, so there might be something that interferes with what he's doing, what this person is doing later in life. Now, what's interesting is this. This hand tells me this is the kind of person may be in business, investments, banking, whatever the case is, and then all of a sudden they switch careers and go into the arts. You know, they become an
Mm-hmm.
artist, they become a musician, they become a painter because it dips in there. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
It also tells me this person is probably married and got married somewhere around about their 28th birthday because there's a
Mm-hmm.
union line. See, there's a line that's going up the center of the hand right
This
there.
one.
Now, see how those lines merge
Mm-hmm.
like a fork and they
Right
merge into
here.
a line? Yes, those are called union lines. That's another way of saying that somebody's come into their life uh, and then it goes straight up and then it goes past 30 something. So this person has taken a direction up until about maybe their about 45th birthday, and then all of a sudden it's just like they stop or make some changes with the hands and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm seeing. Now they gotta when I'm looking under the fingers, which is the heart lines that deals with the affections, they got it, and it ends. It's starting to slope between the first and second finger, ideally. But notice it sends a little branch
Right
underneath
here.
the first finger. Yeah, that tells me
Mm-hmm.
eventually they may start out sweet, but then eventually wanting to control or dictate terms to the person that they're involved with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I'm doing the best I can.
You're doing great. You are doing great. Anything else with this number 5 hand?
Um, yes, I'm seeing. Anytime a line cuts, because that line is cutting the headline. So that means there could be some interference in some way if they're not careful.
This one
If
here,
they're picking up. Yeah. See,
Mhm.
there's this line in the center, and then you come down a little bit, see where there's that line cutting through, and the headline forks too. It forks, but the lower fork is stronger than the top one, so it tells me eventually leaning more toward the arts. But I would say they could be in the world of business, but over time they will want to go into something more creative, artistic, imaginative, painting, drawing, musician, theater,
Mhm.
whatever cases like that.
All right. Sounds good. All right, let's look at number 6.
Okay,
This is
now
number
let's start
6.
with the lifeline.
Okay, right here, guys.
Yeah, yeah, it goes all the way around. If you notice, if you come down to here, stop, it's an
Mm-hmm.
island. It's an island,
Yes.
which tells me anytime you see an island on any position of that hand, whether it's at the top, middle, or the beginning, it tells me that will be a weakness on that part. So that's around about their mid their 60s, 65 and whatnot. That if they don't prepare in advance, that around there all of a sudden they might become sickly and whatnot. Notice how the third and the fourth finger are more widely separated too. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the first hand. If you notice, if you look at the headline, see how widely separated it is from the lifeline?
Mm-hmm.
So go all the way back. Now, all the others was very close. The headline and the lifeline was kind of merging, kind of like
Mm-hmm.
tied down. Well, this person right out the gate had their own mind.
Mm.
That was the first thing I saw. All right. They
Okay.
have they have short fingers that tells me you got to get right to the point. It appears they have a very large thumb, which means a very strong will and things of that nature. Then I'm seeing a union line, which is that line that's kind of coming up the hand right there. See how it forks? So that means
Mm-hmm.
somebody's coming to their life, maybe around about, because the headline is 35 years. So that's about maybe somewhere around 20, 21. I would say. So this person could either be a Sagittarius or Pisces or a number three person, and it goes all the way up. Um, and then I'm looking at that. There's a line underneath the third finger, the ring finger. Yeah,
Right here.
there. Yes, it's it's curved. What it does is it goes and it leans and it curves toward the pinky. But if you
Mm-hmm.
notice, yeah, see where it go down just a little bit and over. That's where it starts at. So
Mm-hmm.
that tells me that at some point they could become well known in the community, well known in life, or whatever the case is. But their success is going to come a little later in life. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's interesting to me is the heart line. That's the line that's underneath the fingers. Now it's way down. Normally it should be up a little closer to the fingers.
Mm-hmm.
When it's down like that, it means that the person might give off the impression of being a little distant or lacking in feelings and affections, which would be more of a kind of an eight type of personality or Capricorn type of nature. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, and it stops short. It's almost as if there's another line. It stops right there,
Yeah. You
and
see
then
this other line?
yeah,
Yeah.
and then it's an independent line. So it's not a Jekyll and Hyde kind of personality, but it
Mm-hmm.
simply means that they, and then if you notice, it ends in like a little teardrop. That's an island right
Yeah,
there.
right here.
It's a
Yeah.
teardrop, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me something about the mental affections of the person. That's why, see, the headline and below represents the physical world. Above the headline toward the fingers represent the mental world.
Oh.
Okay, so that's how it works. It's the physical and then the mental. So anything 35, anything below the headline here is physical. Anything above
Mm-hmm.
that is mental. So that means
Mm-hmm.
mentally, the mental affections toward the person that they have. And
Mm-hmm.
it's almost as if it broke rank. And instead of it being one nice little curve, it stopped just under the third finger. And then under the third finger, another branch went and then went into between it, but it went in, ending in an island.
Mm-hmm.
So that just indicates something that might affect the way they deal with emotionally. Then I'm looking at the fingers just like uh, I think it was either three or four, where the fingers are bending. And it's this the second one where the third and the second finger are kind of blending together. They're kind of like leaning on each other when they should all
Mm-hmm.
be straight. All they
Mm-hmm.
all should be straight. Even the first finger leans toward this. So this tells me this person is very, very philosophical about life. Maybe thinking about ancestries. It could be uh, I shouldn't say death, but something in the afterlife, something that deals beyond the present thing that we're in. But the short fingers tell me they're very detailed, but they seem to have a large thumb, which means strong will and logic. Because if you notice, it seems like the thumb almost is almost out of place. That's how large it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost as if it's attached to another hand. But this is interesting. I noticed though that people with large fingers, cubby fingers, those are the ones that your jewelers. They know how to handle little tools. They can pick up little screws and whatnot that you and I can't pick up. Little things like that. You know. Okay.
Cool. All right. Anything else you see here? Do you want me to move to the next one?
You can go to the next one.
Next one. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 7.
Okay. Uh, Now this hand is a little bit more balanced. If you notice the space between the fingers, they all seem to be equally balanced. Okay. There's
Mm-hmm.
of course, the last one, the third and the fourth finger are slightly separated more if I had to, but they're balanced for the most part. They're all standing
Mm-hmm.
straight. They're not leaning on one another. Okay. If you notice, they're all nice and straight. Now I
Mm-hmm.
start with the lifeline. So if you look at the lifeline, it's curving around, but then all of a sudden, it's either begins to fade. Now, that doesn't mean if you got a short lifeline, you're going to have a short life. Not at all. There are
Okay.
always
Good.
exceptions. But what it
Mm-hmm.
simply means as they get older, if they're in advance starting now by exercising, diet, and whatnot, what happens is we humans wait until it's almost at the point of no return. Then we want to, and it's harder to recover as we get older. But if she can
Mm-hmm.
start now at this age, at her age, it indicates she would do well. And then she's got that fate line that's coming up the center of her hand. That's the line that's
Right
coming
here,
up. Right. Yep.
the
That
straight
goes all
one.
the
Mm-hmm.
way up. Yep. And so it
Yeah, it
simply
goes up
means a
here.
person that has a kind of an eventful life. It's not boring. If you notice though, the headline and the lifeline are tied down. See how they
Mm-hmm.
like merge as one?
Right
Okay.
here.
Yes. And normally that indicates sensitivity. Now, if there was like little crosses and all that stuff, it means there may have been a question about the child's birth at that time, this particular person's birth, I would say for
Mm-hmm.
the most part. Um, I'm looking, this person has had two relationships. If you notice under the pinky, there's a person at the bottom, underneath,
Mm-hmm.
right there. So
Mm-hmm.
that one probably, now, see, they call it the lines of union, but here's what it means. In India, they also call it the line of attachment. So it all depends on the culture of where you're coming from. But it means that
Mm-hmm.
at some point she may have shared space with somebody. I've definitely got a feeling. Well, I could see the nail there in the pinky. So I know it's a woman, but
Mm-hmm.
you can tell that the upper line is a little longer and straighter than the line and at the lower, because the line lower underneath is fainter. Yes, right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, had
Mm-hmm.
we had natural light or we just took a side profile, we might see little lines going up and down. When those lines are faint, that means the possibility of girls. When they're more indented, that means they're more boys. Okay, that's what
Mm.
I'm looking at. But her lines says she would go balance between the world of business and the creative side at the same time. Her heart line goes exactly where it's supposed to be. If you notice, it starts from the outside and curves all the way up, and ideally should end between the first and second finger, which it does. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she's likely to see some notoriety, but it won't be until later on. She has the mystic cross in her hand too. So if this picture could be enlarged, right underneath, right there, if that's enlarged, you can see she has a slight mystic cross, which means she would do well in the world of the arts. I mean, the metaphysics, whether it's numerology, palmistry, whatever the case is, whatever art she decides to go into, tarot cards, she would do very well in that regard. And it does look like
Mm.
she's going to get some notoriety, but that won't be until later on in life. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
am seeing. So, and also, I'm looking at the headline. If you look at the headline, that's the line in the center. If you notice, trail all the way to the end, it forks. See, so that's where it starts, but trace all the way down. And if you notice,
It
it
hooks.
says a slight fork. So
Yeah.
anytime the line forks, it just heightens the brilliance of that particular line where you find it. So that tells me there's something about this person that would be, especially if they got into the world of art, something they would come up in their imagination, with something artistic, do painting or whatever the case may be.
Cool. Very cool. I think so too. Knowing who this person is, I always told them they should be studying numerology.
Yeah, because they got the mystic
I,
cross right in the center of the hand. The mystic
it's
cross,
funny.
yeah. Because see, here's mine. You can see the cross.
Oh yes, yours is
Yeah,
very pronounced, Lloyd.
yes, it's anytime it's between the headline and the heart line, it means a person, and especially since it's under the second finger, which is where mine is primarily, it simply means a person who will be naturally adept in the metaphysical world. And she's got an
Wow.
X there, so if that was enlarged, you could see it.
Wow. Very cool. All right. Let me get on to number 8. Number 8.
Okay, notice how everybody's got a wide third and fourth finger, all independent.
We're all about that action.
Yeah, yeah,
Independence.
that's what you're seeing. This person almost has a double lifeline. Now, I will say this: the way it starts out, see how there's kind of like a cluster of things. That is not normal, which means there may have been something affecting the early childhood, a mystery to the
Mhm.
family. Sometimes we all got mysteries to the family and whatnot, and it's almost as if it's got two lifelines. If you notice, there's an inner
Mhm.
lifeline right there, and
Right
then there's an
here.
outer
Mhm.
one. So what it tells me is that this person will have a lot of energies up until about their 30s. They will have this super amount of energy. And then they got a line that goes straight across like that. That's definitely for business. There's no question about
Mhm.
that. But it also
Mhm.
indicates at the beginning of that line, there's an island there. So it tells me there was a weakness. The island is like a little teardrop. It's like a little space, right? Move back up, right? Right there, right there, right there over it, and you can see that. Okay,
Right
so
here.
yes, that's an island. Again, there's so many markers to this, and I'm looking at the heart line that's underneath, and it looks like a slight change, which means this person may have some concerns with the eyes or wear glasses or things of that nature. They have more square fingernails, which means they would have a love for business. The thumb is well developed and whatnot.
Mhm.
But the fact that that headline is going straight across, that's definitely for business.
Mhm.
This is a business mindset of a person that started, but it does indicate there was some questions around the early beginnings of this particular individual. Okay,
Mhm.
um, so that's what I'm seeing. And then the headline, the heart line, if you notice, it stops. It stops under the third finger. Uh,
Mhm.
I mean, under the second finger, when
The second
actually it should
finger.
have curved up more. So maybe they give, but maybe they don't give all of themselves. Maybe there's some kind of something that's reserved or something about them as far as the affections is concerned.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Anything else on here?
No, it looks like they want to have two lifelines, which is interesting. But one is
Yeah,
they
it
both
does look
start
like they have
parallel
two
and
here,
then it
Lloyd.
fades. The inner one begins to fade, and the other one carries itself around. So it's almost like the person has a kind of a double
Yeah, the
life.
inner one fades right here, and
Yeah,
this one.
yeah, and the inner one fades. Yeah,
Mhm.
and you will see people with two lines.
Okay.
There's
All
sometimes people
right.
got
Very
two
interesting.
headlines. Okay,
Mhm.
all right, I'm ready.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Last one, Lloyd. Last one. And again, I'll tell everybody if your palm did not get chosen, we're sorry. We tried to get as many people as we can, but we have to be uh, respectful of Lloyd's time. So here's the last palm, Lloyd.
This person I would definitely put in the arts. The first thing I'm looking at again is the lifeline, but notice how
Right
wide and
here.
how out it goes. If you look at number 8, theirs was kind of close to the thumb, but this one goes away. This gives a whole lot of space in there. So
Hmm.
they'll say that when a person's got a wide uh, amount of Venus. That's what they call it. They're very passionate, like passion in the bedroom. You know, this person can be passionate about the arts because that is the first thing I got, that this person would do well in the arts, and even the headline. If you know, and here's what's interesting. Notice how the headline starts. It doesn't start directly underneath the lifeline it says, but kind of separate of its own. Then it took a break, and then it
Yeah.
dove into the art. So this person would have a very interesting, I would say, especially during their teens and 20s, and then they took a decisive break. That's for sure. The heart
Mm.
line is good. That's underneath the fingers, and it's going
Mhm.
up and beginning toward. If you could have a line, would be continuing between the first and second finger, which is good. Um,
Mhm.
but there's something about this person's headline where they could have had a head injury, head trauma, or something like that. But when they recovered, it means toward the arts, and that should have been
Mhm.
around about in their teenage years, because
Mhm.
the way the headlines go, and it took place under the Saturn finger, which is around about somewhere around about the 20s, mid 20s, and things like that. Um,
Mhm.
but I would
It
say,
looks like there's a cross right here, like a little faint cross right here.
yeah, I'm looking
You
at
see
that
that?
too. But that is that is not as it's just the way the hand hit me that this person would
Mhm.
do artist almost something like psychic. And if you notice, all the fingers seem to curve. If you notice, they're not standing straight like I think number example 6 or 7
Mhm.
was, but all the lines the fingers seem to slope. If you notice,
Mhm.
they're not straight. The only one that's straight is the pinky, but all of
Yeah.
that, Jupiter leans to the left, Saturn, the second finger leans to the left, uh, and it gives the impression that the third finger, the ring finger, is kind of going to lean toward the pinky. So that was the first thing I saw. But I would say this
Mhm.
person has artistic gifts, but I would say this person is also going maybe through some mental challenges at some point, especially in their early and teenage years, definitely.
Mm. Very good. Very good, Mr. Strayhorn. All right. That's all I had. Let me take this down. Give me 1 second to remove so it doesn't mess up our audio. All right, Lloyd, that was so fascinating. So before I know we're past the hour mark, so we're going to be very respectful of time.
Okay.
So let's just get some insights from the audience real quick, Lloyd, and then I'll let you do some
Sure,
closing words.
sure,
Okay.
sure,
All
sure.
right. Okay.
Please, I'm
So
open. I'm open.
okay. So let me see what people are saying. Um, Kanaya said she appreciates us, so thank you. We
Yeah,
appreciate
Kanai's
you
all right
too.
with me too.
That's
She's good.
right. Could okay, Lloyd. So Denise said Lloyd knows he should have done some of this during my reading a few weeks ago. Laugh out loud. So this must have been a young lady that you did a reading for.
I must have, I read so many
I
people.
know. And she said the reading was fantastic as usual. She's a number 9.
Thank you,
Great.
Denise. Thank you, thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Okay. And then that's some of the other stuff. And then look, we have the beautiful Queen Jazz here. Peace and
Hey,
love to you,
Jackie.
Queens up.
Jazz
Peace.
Aphrodite. Definitely.
Yes, Jazz Aphrodite. She's going to be on the show, guys, next
On the
Friday
20, yes.
on August 1st. She's going to
Yes,
be on,
August 1st. Yes.
yep, she's going to be on Numbers
And I'm going to
Matter. And
promote her
that's
on
going
the
to,
show next week.
yes, you guys don't want to miss that. So make sure you stick around for that for next week. Um, and then there's people just saying hi to Jazz because she's so great. We know that.
Yeah.
And then we got Botanical Bro. This is one of our great followers. Shout out to the wise ones, King Strayhorn and Empress Queen Bee. Thank you, Botanical Bro. We love you. We love you. Thank you so much. He said, keep in mind that the image is mirrored. Yes, we know that, but it's still the right hand. So all in all, it's still the
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
It's still the correct thing. But thank you so much, bro, for pointing that out. We want to say peace and love to Queen Shawan West. She's an
That's the girl.
astro-numerologist
That Libra
herself.
lady. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. That's our gematria queen. So thank you so much. And
She's
then
going to be
he's
back on my
asked.
show soon, too.
Yes, because yes, I know she's going to be coming back on, and we'll make sure we get all those flowers out. Now he's asking, do you have a website? We know you do, where where images of palms can be uploaded to in order to be read by you. So this might be something new, Lloyd, that you can do. I mean,
Yeah,
listen,
I
people
do
want
have
to
a
give you.
website, but I hadn't thought of it.
Yeah,
was something
he's
I
giving
kind
you
of
an
like
idea.
laid in the cut. You know what I'm saying? But there's some people that's kind of got me out there to do this.
I
So
think,
maybe,
yeah. So,
maybe. Now they can
you
go
know,
to Lloyd-Strayhorn.com. That's LLOYD-Strayhorn, STRAYHORN. Or if they want about all my other features, the free newsletters, um, my Star 8 numerology app that I have for your mobile phones, a Star 8A. Just go to, there it is, Linktree /numbers in you. That's where they get everything.
that's right.
You got
So this
everything.
is all
You
of
got everything.
yeah, I
Yeah,
have everything. I have all
yeah,
Lloyd's
yeah,
information. Here's this
yeah.
link tree. The link tree will take you to everything. So I always like to put the link tree first. So just do the link tree. Well, it's linktr.ee/numbers and you. That will bring Lloyd's link tree up. It will bring his website up, which is Lloyd-Strayhorn.com. And it'll bring up all of his IGs, his YouTube. You can also get the palmistry course by going to the link tree. So you can see the palmistry course. You can also see the other courses. Lloyd's going to be doing his Astro-Numerology course also, I believe, in August, right,
Yes,
Lloyd?
August
Yep.
31st.
August 31st, he's going to be doing the learn to be an Astro-Numerologist as a career. So you guys want to make sure you're taking advantage of this stuff. Let me actually add this to the stage. Here is his link
Yeah,
tree.
yeah.
As you can see, this shows you everything that he has. Okay, his
And you
show,
saw a
his
link
Udemy
just above
courses
that
are
that
up
says
here.
Palmistry Workshop. See
Yes,
right there.
right
If they
here.
just click on that,
So if
they
you
will get
click
it right
up,
now.
if you click this, here goes the Palmistry Workshop, and then here goes the numbers and you beyond workshop where you can learn to be an astronumerologist for a career. So make sure you guys are tuning in with Lloyd on all of his channels. Of course, you can just type in numbers and you on YouTube and on Instagram and TikTok, and you will find Lloyd. And you want to make sure you're following him and subscribing to him there, of course. And we just want to go ahead and close out. So I'm just going to
Oh, and by the way, all the books that you showed at the beginning of the show is available on Amazon.
Yes, and we're going to show those again before we leave. Shawan said she was late to the party, but she glad she's enjoyed it. Thank you, Queen. That would be awesome. So yes, Lloyd, it sounds like you're in demand to read palms. For you to get your we got to get you a
Well, I
thing
gotta
where
teach
people
some
can
students to help me out. That's what I gotta do.
oh, well, you already know. So we're gonna do that. And guess what else? If you do this, everyone's saying, Lloyd, where can we submit our palm for you to read? So this is another avenue that you
Yeah,
can put
yeah. I will explore
on your
that.
contact page.
I'll
Yes,
explore
please do
that.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Please do that because this has been great and it's very informative. We've had 9 palms. Lloyd read. He looked at his own palm and so this has been great, you guys. Teresa said, Sante Sana Malinda for having Mr. Lloyd on your podcast.
Thanks,
Absolutely. And
Teresa.
Teresa said it's a great demonstration. Yes, it was. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. So, and then what I'm going to do real quick, Lloyd, while we have your banners up, I'm just going to real quick show everyone here are Lloyd's books. He's the relationship
That's
guide.
nice how you did that.
The let me take the banner down so we can see everything. The numerology guide for everyday living, the orange Bible in the middle, and then you
Yeah,
have the
that's
blue
the
Bible.
Bible. Yeah.
Yep. And then you look, these are all Bibles to me. So you have the upper blue Bible at the top for the 21st century and beyond. And then you have the guide to numerology. This is like a workbook
Yep.
that if you're learning numerology, this is a great workbook for you to get. Okay. And then also we want to make sure that you guys, if you can't come to the course in August, you can do Lloyd's Udemy courses. They're very informative. I have all 3 of these courses. So make sure you look him up on Udemy and you can get his courses there as well. And then this is just another photo of his books and his Star 8 app. You want to make sure that you guys are tuned in with the Star 8 app. Okay, so, and then of
Thank
course,
you.
this is the workshop. Take a screenshot of this right now so you guys can sign up for the workshop coming up July 29th. This has been so informative. I'm always excited to have you on my platform. You know how much I care about you. Uh,
Thanks,
don't
thanks, Belinda.
no need to get me started to crying up here because I will. Um, But thank you so much for being here, Lloyd. This has really been awesome. It sounds like
Thank
you've
you.
uncovered, you know, we know you've read palms, but it sounds like you've uncovered a new service that you maybe will be able to offer digitally
Yeah.
for people.
I'm
So
always nervous about reading hands over the air because sometimes I might say things. So, but when I
right,
read privately, it's totally different. But
right,
in there, I have to be
obviously.
kind of mindful. But it was like a crash course. So I hope I did everybody's hand some justice. The only one that stood out
So
was the water hand.
you did. And I'll just say to you, from me knowing most of those hands, you were spot on for a lot of the things that I do know about those people. Now there's obviously things that I don't know about those people that you might have said.
Hmm.
But they're watching. If they're not watching, they will be watching this. I know some of them couldn't join live, but they said they were going to make sure they catch it. So they'll let me know. But I already know that you did a great job. You always do.
Thank
So
you.
again, we thank you. We're grateful for you for
Thank you.
everything
Thank
that
you.
you do, everything that you bring to the table, and for all your love and your support for everyone. It's astronomical, so no one can touch that. And I really just want to make sure that you know that. And thank you so much. So, do you have anything to say before we get out of here? This is look, we
Other
did
than,
Unit 20
I will
together.
say this: I've seen your shows, and you're always so gracious to all of your guests. I mean, you're a class act. I mean, a person can't help but feeling great after they leave your show. I mean, that's how you do
Oh,
it.
Lloyd. Oh, you're such a sweet talker. Thank you so much, Lloyd. All right. So I again, this has been Numbers Matter Podcast Unit 20. This has been Palmistry Matters. Now we see why palmistry matters and why all metaphysical sciences matter. So
Yes, they
make
are.
sure you're tuned in with us. Make sure you get with Lloyd to get this course. Okay. And go check his website out so you can make sure you're in tune with him. And then make sure you're tuning in with us next Friday. We have the Empress of Numerology, Jackie Levine, aka Jazz Aphrodite. She's going to be on August 1st at 7 p.m. Talking about her knocking from the inside. We're going to be talking Astro-Numerology. You know, a couple 20s are getting together, so you know it's going to be a great time. So I cannot wait to have that queen on my platform. And I'm so honored to have you here. So thank you so much for being here, Lloyd. Thank you for everyone
Thanks,
that
Melinda.
tuned
Thank
in.
you very, very much. God
Yep.
bless you.
Thank you for everyone to tune in. Peace and love, kings and queens up to the universal supreme. And make sure you're well to each other. Thank you.
Bye.
Queens up in your hood, be